Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host HD of the PSP. Like, share, comment your predictions for the round of 16 of the Champions League and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications, of course, to receive all the updates from these videos and all the content on the channel, including the main podcast which dropped earlier, of course, and you can listen to that on Spotify, Google Podcasts or any other platform of your choosing. And let's kick off, of course. The Champions League returns this midweek with four, I would say, not massive matches, really. One of them is massive. Two of them are pretty much massive, and the other two are, let's say, pretty imbalanced. But we'll leave the two massive ties, PSG, Real Madrid, and Inter versus Liverpool. We're going to leave them until the end. But we're going to start from Sporting versus Manchester City, of course. A big game, certainly, for Sporting Lisbon and for Manchester City. This is the first time Sporting Lisbon makes it to the knockout stages of the Champions League since 2008-2009. That season they suffered a 12-1 aggregate loss to Bayern Munich. It was 5-0 in Lisbon, 7-1 in Munich. It was pretty big. It's still the heaviest aggregate total score defeat in the Champions League history. 13 years on, they return, of course, champions of the Portuguese league, and definitely a side that is wanting to prove itself in the Champions League. I mean, they were decimated by Ajax in the group, so there's no real surprise there if they lose again to Manchester City and they get completely thumped both back and front by Manchester City. It's just a question, I think, of how long they will hold on. But particularly with the first game being in Portugal, they will maybe try and be a little bit more, outgoing. They will try maybe to look for a better result, that the best result that they can possibly throw at Manchester City. I mean, it will need a perfect game as far as Sporting Lisbon is concerned to beat Manchester City. Manchester City, who have a perfect game so far. They're dominating, they're completely controlling the race in the Premier League. The Champions League campaign was not flawless, but it was pretty good as well. There's no real expectations for me that Man City will sort of have a day off against Sporting Lisbon away from home, although it is a pretty interesting game, certainly for Guardiola, because we will see if he's going to go all out in that one, or he will try and sort of divide the efforts on both legs, or maybe try and go for the jugular since the first leg. As far as Sporting Lisbon is concerned, it's need to be a perfect game plan for them to beat Manchester City. They need a perfect day, while Man City need a day off, I would say. I mean, City have their weaknesses, but they're not going to be appearing that easily. Like, it will need quite a hefty amount of work as far as Sporting Lisbon are concerned to try and open the spaces and really find the holes between the Manchester City defense in order to score the goals, in order to take opportunities. And my prediction for this one, pretty straightforward: Man City to go through, but I'm not going to be surprised if something happens really in this one, although it will take again quite a lot of work from Sporting Lisbon to beat Manchester City, as far as this game is concerned, this tie overall is concerned. The second tie that's pretty much imbalanced is Salzburg versus Bayern. Now, Salzburg are a really good side. This is the first time an Austrian side qualifies to the knockout stages of the Champions League since the inception of the new format back in '93, so it's quite a big event. But I still believe that Salzburg, are not at the level of Bayern. And yes, taking in mind that Bayern Munich just lost 4 to Bochum in the Bundesliga, I still don't believe that Salzburg are on the level that will, bother Bayern Munich so much. Obviously, this is not the first time that these two sides met. They definitely met last season in the group stages, and it was, a pretty rough affair on both occasions. Of course, it was 6-2 for Bayern Munich in Austria, but it was a hard 6-2. It wasn't easy at all. It was like 3 goals scored in the last 15 minutes, and it was a 2-1 victory. Also in the in Allianz Arena, it was a hard victory as well, with a red card being shown back there. So it's not exactly the easiest of opponents. They could throw a spanner or two there. They have a pretty young squad, the youngest in the Champions League, led of course by one of the biggest prospects in European football in Karim Adeyemi. On the Bayern hand, I would say yes, the performances are not that great. Still leading the Bundesliga, still winning, still getting the points, obviously, except for the last one against Bochum. The performance was pretty awful in that regard, but obviously the injuries, Davis missing, Goretzka still missing, and of course Neuer still missing, a big figure in the goalkeeping position as far as Bayern Munich is concerned. I don't think it will sway the tie that much towards Salzburg, but I think it will do just enough to make this pretty nervy as far as Bayern Munich is concerned. It's going to be tough, particularly the first leg in Austria, but I think the second leg Bayern Munich will probably be very able to seal the deal and get through to the quarterfinals. The question is how hard it will be for Bayern Munich beating RB Salzburg. Now we get to move on to the bigger games. And we start from the Giuseppe Meazza, where Inter Milan are going to be facing Liverpool. And now this one is an interesting one on all levels almost, because looking at Inter from a league point of view, the last 2 weeks have been wobbly for them. They haven't exactly clicked as they wanted to. There are 3 games winless in so far in the league. They definitely don't look like a side that is really firing on all cylinders, and so do Liverpool, to be fair. They just had Sadio Mane and Mo Salah returning from the African Cup of Nations. Their recent performance against Burnley was not exactly that great. Their defence looked pretty poor, and with a better finishing, I would argue that maybe Liverpool would have lost that game, and frankly that better finishing would obviously come from players like Lautaro Martinez and from Edin Dzeko. I mean, those long crosses and long balls that Burnley missed in that game, I doubt Dzeko or Lautaro Martinez will miss half those chances if they had the opportunity to score against Liverpool. I mean, Inter Milan obviously, I think, much better or substantially better than AC Milan were in the group stages, but certainly now with the league sort of situation swaying towards the red side of the Milan, Inter Milan feeling the urgency now to win this match and to make something of this match even more, not only because of the Champions League game and it's against Liverpool, but also because of their situation in the league, where they feel now that they are behind and falling behind Milan in the title race. So I think it's a double edge weapon for Inter Milan, and it's obviously a big necessity for them to win this game. Liverpool, yes, they have been pretty far from Man City, but some would say they win the game in hand, they beat City, and the title race is still on. I would agree to that, but I certainly would believe that I feel that Liverpool should improve much better and should really be tighter defensively if they want to win this game, and if they want it to be a comfortable game for them, particularly away from home, where they need the best result possible. As far as Inter Milan is concerned, as I mentioned, they have a pretty good squad. They work really hard. The midfield is going to be brilliant. They have no injuries, which is a plus in this one. Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez are going to be leading the line as usual, with the midfield of Brozovic, Barella and Çalhanoğlu is going to be set in an interesting battle, obviously, against the likes of Fabinho, Thiago Alcantara, James Henderson and Milner. And obviously there's going to be the big question of how Inter Milan are going to be dealing with the wingers of Liverpool, Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. Of course, I doubt that they will do the same thing as Milan and try to put the fullbacks straight in one-on-ones against those players, because I don't think Inter Milan or Simone Inzaghi is foolish enough to do that. I think they will try to tighten the spaces, put them in numerical disadvantages, whether 2 against 1, 3 against 1, so they will really tighten the spaces and not allow them to create as much. The midfield, I think, is going to have a big job as far as Liverpool are concerned in this one, to try and supply the attackers. I mean, the question is, who's going to be the forward for Liverpool? Who's going to be the centre forward? Is it going to be Firmino? Is it going to be Jota? If I had personal choosing, I would obviously put Jota up front. I think he's the more livelier of the two, and I genuinely think he's the better and the more informed player than Firmino at the moment. So overall, it's going to be a hard game. My prediction for this one, certainly it's going to be, I would have said it would be depending on the first game. I will sway towards Liverpool just because they have a much potent attacking line as far as a trio is concerned, and they have much class up front than Inter Milan. Obviously, that's not a knock on Dzeko or Martinez. They're really good players and they understand each other pretty well, and I would say the dynamic that Lukaku and Martinez has is still there, only with Dzeko instead of Lukaku. So I genuinely believe that Liverpool have the advantage just about. They have better quality in attack than Inter Milan, but obviously anything could happen. Inter Milan could dominate the game. It's going to be interesting who's going to be dominating, both sides like possession. We'll see who's going to give the other side possession in this one. And now, of course, we move on to the big tie. The tie, in fact, in all of the round of 16, as far as the Champions League is concerned, PSG and Real Madrid. And really, the focal point of this one is pretty simple. Karim Benzema missing for Real Madrid. And I know it might sound a little, it doesn't sound like much, but it's pretty big. It's a very, very, very big point as far as Real Madrid is concerned, because he's the focal point, he's the main man, he's the talismanic leader, he's the guy that gets it all glued, gets it all intact as far as Real Madrid is concerned. He really organizes the attack for Real Madrid. He pulls the players into spaces, he creates for his team, he really he runs for his teammates, which is something that is really underrated in Benzema's gameplay. He tracks back, he really starts the pressure, he opens spaces, and he does everything in attack in between. So with Benzema out in injury, of course, it is definitely going to sound very, very harsh to judge Real Madrid's attack, because the other options, aside from Vinicius probably, are not exactly that great in attack. Asensio hasn't been contributing well. Isco has been, on and off. He's been in the fridge basically for the last couple of seasons. Then you have Gareth Bale, Mariano Diaz. Yes, he still plays in Real Madrid. I am surprised as well. And also, of course, Luka Jovic, who's been on and off and has been starting here and missing there and sitting on the bench in other games. And it's definitely, curious situations as far as attacking is concerned. I genuinely think that there's a simple point that Real Madrid want to work on, which is try and deny PSG a big win in the first leg. They will try and make this as tight as possible. Even 1-0 loss, I would say they would take it, because it's going to be the best result for them, because I really doubt that they're going to be effective in attack without Karim Benzema. And also, I think PSG will try maybe and finish off the game in the first half, which might give Real Madrid chances to counter-attack. But again, with no Benzema, that's a different animal completely to having Bale or Hazard or Jovic or even Rodrigo, who's been lively whenever he came on. I think he's probably the best of the rest, I would argue, but definitely, it's a different animal completely when you lose someone like Benzema and such a talismanic leader. As far as PSG is concerned, it's a 6-star squad if you're playing FIFA 22, but definitely a squad that is losing a lot of its shine. A squad that is not exactly in the best of places at the moment. Yes, they're leading the French table. Obviously, they're going to be winning La Ligue 1, but obviously it's a Champions League that is the biggest fish for them to hook. And again, with the squad that they have, the likes of Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, naming the players in the midfield, Di Maria and Verratti and Gueye and Paredes, with all of these players, it's going to be, I think, an interesting situation to see how Pochettino will approach this game. Is it going to be ultra-attacking? Is it going to be trying to take advantage of Real Madrid's frailties in the back, and they have them? Do not let the 0-0 result or even the defensive stats fool you, because they have frailties in the back. It's just the fact that the midfield has been so solid. In particular, Modric and Casemiro have been so solid. I think that really they haven't been exploited yet. Maybe a midfield like PSG's that is, I think, substantially fresher than Real Madrid's, at least younger, that is for sure. And we'll try and exploit the spaces in behind. They'll try to exploit the spaces behind the left back and the right back. Ferland Mendy is in absence as well for Real Madrid, so that's going to be another blow. So if it is Marcelo playing, good God, we are in for such a nightmare as far as Real Madrid defensive is concerned. Carvajal on the right is not going to be matched for Mbappe, I suppose. And then you have Messi or Neymar moving in the middle. It's going to be not nightmarish for Real Madrid to defend unless they get the right plan and unless they get the right sort of situations, out of their midfield and try to make the transition as quick and as direct and precise as possible. That's when they have a chance, I think, to beat PSG. But I think the biggest point is Real Madrid will try and delay the inevitable, maybe in the first leg, and try to take the game to Bernabeu, where they can have better advantage, where they can control the game, and with the atmosphere will help them, substantially. That's it for this preview. Of course, these are the 4 first games from this midweek. I'll do a separate other video for the other ones next week, obviously. As I mentioned, my prediction for this one, I would just edge towards PSG if Benzema is not there by the second leg. I doubt he'll be fit for the first leg. Maybe he'll be fit for 20-30 minutes if he's available. He's in the squad, obviously. But again, I think I will hedge towards PSG just because I think they can exploit Real Madrid's defensive frailties. I mean, I know Real Madrid have a Champions League mentality, but I really doubt in the first leg it will appear, really. I think it will be a pretty hard game for them, and probably they will be pinned in their defense for most of it as well anyway. So thanks for watching. Like, share, comment your predictions below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive updates, and follow us on social media. Of course, I'm the host, HD of the PSP, and until next time, goodbye. Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.